We're on a piece of the Green Mountain National Forest in Norwich, and the goal here is to see if there are spring salamanders in the stream. Spring salamanders are one of three salamanders that are associated with this kind of habitat. One's the two-lined, which is a small, narrow salamander shaped like a redback with a golden brown back and two lines, just like its name says. One's the dusky, which, oh, there's a horse behind us. One's a dusky, which likes all this moss and likes seepage areas where there are springs on the sides of the river, and maybe we'll find that here. And then the third is this one that we just caught, and we came here specifically to try to document this particular species, which is called the spring, and it has never been documented from Norwich before. So, as it so happened, Matt, the guy who's taking this video, he found a spring on the first rock that he turned over, which is pretty unusual for us. But he has a pretty good idea of what kind of rock might have a spring under it. So we're going to let this one go. This is one that I just caught. We're going to let this one go, and you can watch it. It's a really neat salamanders that like these small, rocky woodland brooks, mid to high elevation usually, and clean, well oxygenated without too much sediment in them. So here we go. Get my foot out of the way. Oops. He's looking for a piece of cover that he can get under to completely hide. They spend most of their time undercover, under medium-sized flat rocks on the edge of the river, usually partially in the river, partially out. They do come out on rainy nights and forage along the edges of the river, but they don't travel very far. These salamanders spend a few years in the larval stage with external gills before they become entirely terrestrial. That means you need a stream that does not dry up. So when we're looking for these stream salamanders or saturated soil salamanders, we look for primarily for flat rocks like this that have a lot of space underneath, so they'd be good cover. There's water coming out on one side of this, so we know it's going to be wet. Now, whether or not there's an amphibian under this rock, I don't know, but let's take a look. Plastic, by the way, some of these salamanders are so fast and so slippery that you really don't want to try to catch them. And so we keep plastic handy to see if we can herd them into the plastic. And as you can see, there's nothing there. This is actually what happens most of the time. Matt just got lucky. When he got that spring on his first rock. We got a couple rocks here that look good too. I think they're flat. They got space underneath. They're partially on land, but they have some real moisture underneath. They got some water underneath too. I suppose it could have an adult spring, or it could have a larval spring, or it could have nothing. Nothing it is. Try this one. See, I'll try to turn this one your way, Matt. Whoop, there's a spring larvae. I'll get. I missed him. This salamander has escaped me. Which is not uncommon. I thought maybe I had it. It was a larval salamander, larval spring. It still had gills. It was only, I don't know if you saw it, but it was only about 4 inches long. he got away. I was hoping for a dusky under this rock, but we can see a spring. Ah, that worked like it was supposed to. You can see how they're energetic and they're slippery. This stream has produced quite a few springs, more than we would usually find in the amount of time that we've been looking. I'll put them back in. And you will see, let me try to catch them for you. Or let's just show you what there's a rock right here. And we turned up a northern dusky, which is another one of the stream salamanders or saturated soil salamanders, which are associated with woodland streams like this, rocky brooks, few or no fish at all, and surrounded by woodlands. And here we're seeing a lot of moss, and almost all of the dusky nests and eggs that we found have been under moss over a seepage area. Now I don't have a seepage right here, but somewhere nearby is a seepage area where this one could lay its eggs, and we'll show you northern dusky. It's not as colorful or not as big as the spring salamander. It's about the size of an adult newt, an eastern newt, or maybe a large red eft, the red eft stage of the eastern newt. And we're taking these videos first with them in the water just because they're so fast, and when I try to pour it out, it might escape. They often do. But you can see he really is dusky. I mean, he's a brownish black. I don't know if it's possible to see any lines on the side of its head, but it does have a faint white line that goes between its eye and its jaw. I can barely see it on this side. I don't know, can you see it at all on that side, Matt?
Not quite.
No, maybe I can. Let's see, where's the sun? Notice how the hind legs are longer and stronger than the front legs, which is another good field mark. Just to show you what usually happens if you try to pick one up. They go somewhere else and hide. He's hiding under my shoe. If I can pick him up, I'll actually put him where I found him, but it's much easier to have plastic handy. Whoa, look at him go. That's actually the rock that he was initially under. I'll put that rock back over here. You gonna go that way? Plastic. That's how the plastic works. Really helpful. I'm gonna let him go. I'll give him a little water. Moisten him. There's no problem handling amphibians, but unless you have DEET on your hands, in which case you don't want to handle unless you rinse the DEET off. And then I'll just let him go. There, your rock's right behind you, dude. You want to go to the rock? Go. Northern two-lined salamanders are another stream salamander that lay their eggs in the stream habitat, but when the ground is wet, as it has been recently, they'll wander out even up to the edge of the river valley here. So they could be anywhere in this river valley during the day, usually under cover unless it's raining. They're slippery and fast also. Here you can see they're shaped They look almost identical in shape and form to the redbacks, but they have kind of a golden brown back. And I'm going to try to turn it over so that you can see that the underside is yellow. You can see here that the underside of the tail from waist down is yellow, and that's quite different. There's no other salamander that we have that has that characteristic. I'm going to give this guy back to Matt, and well, actually, I'll put him down so you can see. I want to give him a little bit of water. They get dried out easily, and a little water often revives them. He's going for a hiding spot.